Right. So I'm going to continue with the previous section where I discussed a lot of things. I got a lot of feedback from a few friends. I know it's a lot of information to be crammed in and satisfy everybody who listens. I mean, I have engineers who are listening to it and expecting to get something out of it. Many do get, some don't. Some say, oh, it's very vague and not specific. Well, let me just first tell you, my objective is really very high level right now. Okay, there's obviously a lot of content to be developed along this line. I mean, the primary objective here is to help entrepreneurs and not necessarily programmers and stuff who can also learn from this, because finally they are the ones who would at some point be helping business owners to get their game to the next level. So um, let's continue on where I left in the last video. If you haven't looked at or gone through the last video, that's the part A, which essentially I think covered maybe the fundamentals of web design. And this is, again, I would like to repeat, it's not a technical thing. I'm an engineer. I mean, I have developed a lot of systems, but I'm more at architect and business level now than ever before. So I'm talking about concepts and the philosophy that is needed by business owners to embrace in order to make the next, the next forays into what they need to do in order to become and have online success, a good presence, and manage the expectations realistically, and not expect either too much or too little, but exactly what internet can and will deliver based on the activity that you pursue and how to go about it. So there's a lot of things. So please subscribe. You could like and share this video so other people who could potentially benefit from this. This is compression of 20 odd years of experience worldwide, developing, deploying systems, all the way from websites, but a lot of web application experience and what internet can do and has been doing. So I think in my first part, I covered fundamentals of the web design, the making of a great design from both a technical and more from a marketing and a business perspective, which is the most essential. And technical stuff, there are 20 ways to develop the same UI or the user interface, or the same functionality. There are various language stacks and stuff like that. I happen to have worked with a lot with PHP full stack, JavaScript, and obviously Java and .NET, etc. But I think the more essential component is for entrepreneurs to know that it doesn't take $20,000 or $100,000 a year for web development. There are other ways to do it, and free website site is one of those. As you will see, some of the screenshots here, user friendly and easy to get things going very quickly, including getting paid, including adding your product, photographs, prices, services, complicated data embedded already inside the system, or the templates that you can't find anywhere else, right? So that's the main thing. So anyways, let's move forward really quickly. Again, as usual, I'm really pressed for time, so I'm going to breeze through a lot of this stuff very quickly. I think I left off somewhere around the typical web design evolution, and maybe a slide or two after that. So the next slide that comes in, we'll just follow through. If you would like to see what the first 3 or 4 bullet points here, you should go to the previous video in this thing. It's got the same uh, title, and you'll be able to follow it. I'll probably create a playlist so that people can find it more easier. All right. So what I will be covering today, or would be a part of the process of web design, the pre-design work, the influences of on design of technology, content, economy, visuals, usability, conventions, and also how to always look to create a shortcut in terms of the cost and to go so that you can get the most out of it. So, and also accessibility and maintenance and improvement issues, which is a recurring cost, and you want to be set up for a situation where you can scale, which you can maintain and improve your site to better meet your business needs. All right, so let's go into it. Okay, so the ad hoc process and price you pay. All right. So just to give you some backdrop, I mean, we spoke about the evolution. Okay, the typical evolution of a website for startups, for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. People who are running a business or selling some T-shirts or some kind of a product that they've created on their own, and it's really at the early phases. Early phases. I'm not talking about somebody who's already making $5 million a year in revenue. I'm talking more of somebody who is, starting off, they've probably hit about $50,000 in revenue or, equivalent in different currencies, I guess, because, this is the same phenomena in other places in Europe and in Asia, right? So somebody who's there, they may or may not have a website, or they might be really early on. They've thought about a concept, they thought about a business idea, and they know they can deliver it. They believe in themselves and they know they can deliver it to a certain extent. Maybe they believe they've got special talent, so they start off a business and they go get into the typical evolution. With the purpose of One of the purposes of this video is to make sure that people unaware don't embark on an evolutionary journey which they can skip, and they can get to the point which, with the times, with the best tools and the toolkits and the mindset, more importantly, so that their actions are in line with their best interests, right? And not misguided by um, fear, or misguided by, the most important thing is to get more sales, right? Get more revenue. That's the main thing, right? So how to add the website into your marketing mix so that it's more than just a brochure. It has got some effective things. So please watch my previous video to probably get to line with this. So I don't want the, starting off very abruptly. So let's get into it. So here's the ad hoc process and price you pay. So what happens essentially is that, when you're in a hurry to get a website up, because in the early days, and it happens with everybody, it actually even happens with uh, larger projects. It's always ad hoc. It's evolving. Granted, right? However, um, there's a saying that, if you stand on the shoulders of giants, you can see much further, or, so you should basically see what are the mistakes, the misses and the hits that people have experienced in the business world when it comes to the website and the web presence. And then you try to not make the same mistakes, and don't go on a, exploratory journey alone, wandering through, and just go. And the purpose of this video is to get you to some of those things. I mean, and the series of videos would probably elaborate on other things. So if you follow through and you listen to everything that I share, I think you'll be able to plug a good picture together and make better decisions, right? So what happens in an ad hoc process is there are a lot of under construction banners. There are a lot of signaling that says this thing is still, um, you know, not done yet. And the thing is that, yes, true, the business always evolves, but when we are projecting an image of a reliable supplier of a service or a product, then we have to make sure that there's at least a bottom line of, what people feel, and the process of invoking trust in your viewers, in your potential clients, in your repeat clients, to make sure they are at peace with seeing what they're seeing, and it's not, full of red flags of under construction banners, right? So it might not be just a banner, but it could be something, that a link that is not maybe working. Maybe the site is too complex. You put up a site that was too big, and you really don't have that much content, or you don't have that much. It's not necessary, right? It's like renting out a huge warehouse when you got like three products, and all you needed was like a cupboard, right? And now you're trying to fill up things, and you end up with a lot of information, content maybe, or promises that you cannot keep, products that you don't really focus on. And again, like, one of my mentors used to say, and still says, that instead of being everything to, all things to everybody, it's better to be somebody to some people, and then do it well, right? So old content is there, and dated design techniques. um, you got errors, broken links, broken scripts, all that stuff. So that's more on the technical side. But if you're a business owner and you see these things, please note that that's just not something users generally like, at a corporate level or at an individual level, because even if it's a small business, if it's a small repair shop, they just want to see that, okay, everything is working. It's a reflection of who's running the business. It's a reflection of what they can expect, right? So it's a very small thing. It's not a big thing, and it can usually underrepresent your true potential if it is not done correctly, right? The last thing we want as entrepreneurs, we want as business owners, for somebody to get the wrong impression that we can't deliver something that which we can, right? It's just that they didn't get to know us properly, and the reason for that was an ad hoc process through which you made a website, and then you the price is basically, opportunity cost. You've got a customer, your conversion rate is lower. People, don't call because they're like, maybe something didn't work on the website at that particular moment. It happens, but to what extent, right? In manufacturing, we got ppm, ppb, parts per million, parts per billion, in terms of errors that occur. They do occur all the time, but our job is to ensure that we reduce that, right? And manage it, basically. Convoluted logic results in confusing sight. So, if there's too much of, like I said, I think the best example I can give is, you set up a WordPress website, right? And you got so many options. So you go on this ad hoc construction process, and then you finally find out, hey, I'm just doing two or three things, but now I've got space for all this stuff. So let me just add it. And so if I'll be all things to everybody, maybe there'll be more people coming in. Au contraire, that's not the truth. Basically, people, there's a research that states, it's a pretty popular research, you can google and find it, that if a human being is given more than 8 options at a time, they are so there was a test where they had, cookies of 8 different flavors. They had, 4, 5, 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10 and more, right? So they said that the threshold was, if you got more than 8 options, the site, the buyer who even wanted a cookie is probably going to look around and walk away because they're confused. The human mind cannot uh, process more than a certain amount of information, and they shouldn't, because if you're doing one or two, three things very well, then that's what you need to focus on, and not a lot of other things. Because yeah, let's say you've got 10,000 people who can buy from you, and you focus on those 10,000 people. You get those 10,000 people and maybe a good percentage of that. It's better than you say, I can do everything, and there are 100,000 people and nobody knows what, and they just kind of, walk away, right? So keep that in mind. That's a hint. So spaghetti code and CSS. Okay, this is more, again, going into the technical stuff, right? Code is the programming code, and CSS is the cascading style sheets, which does the designing of the, if the color, the font size, the look and feel, right, of the web page. So, well, this is more technical, but what happens is, if you're engaged with a software freelancer, a designer, or somebody else, they might do something to make it fly for the first cut. Okay, this is how it always works. All engineers, I've dealt with people with 20, 30 years of experience working at the highest level, for government, and state, county agencies in the US and elsewhere. And I have dealt with freelancers who are in Europe, in Asia, and who've got anywhere between 0 to 5 to 10 years of experience. There's obviously a degree of, quality. It means, if somebody's 10 years experience, will their first cut would be very different from somebody who's got 2 years experience. But what happens is, essentially, between one programmer and the other, whatever happens, when they look at it, they'll always find fault with what was there, and there's a spaghetti code, means it all gets mixed up. So as a business owner, you want to keep it simple. You want to keep it simple, and you want to make sure that it is effective. And this series of videos is all about that simplicity, and getting through, and making sure there's deliverable results from your very own small but fully functioning website, right? That's the whole point. So, anyways, I don't want to get into any technical stuff. I've got hundreds of hours of content for engineers, which is also going to get posted. And I've got a separate learning site where people actually, learn. I mean, they go through crash courses of full stack development and specific things from beginner to advanced levels. And I'll be posting some of those videos here too, from our, repertoire of those technical content. This is not for those, right? Let's continue. Difficult to update and maintain. Okay, so if you got a well, the ad hoc process can lead to this. Also, if you don't have an in-house full-time developer, which costs anywhere between 85 to $150,000 a year, and a team of them, or a full-stack developer, or a contractor, or a freelancer, okay, they all are difficult to update and maintain because if you're a startup, you don't want to be shelling out 80 90,000 grand a year for a full-time developer unless you're an e-commerce or a full fledged software company. Then you would. If you're handing it out to contract, if there are ad hoc contractors, expect a mess, expect people to whine and complain more than you want to hear, and it's necessary because they'll evaluate it and they'll try to throw the previous guy under the bus. It's a headache. Okay, you want to skip that if you can. And also, if you're finding freelancers, oh, I can't even start how excruciating that process is. You might think, hey, I'm going to get away with something, but at a good price. But no, the price is way, 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 way higher. And it's not individual freelancers fault. So anybody who's a freelancer or a software engineer, please don't take it the wrong way. And also, entrepreneurs or business owners, or people who are actually in the position where they need a website, don't take it the wrong ways. There's no fault of these freelancers, but it's just the nature of software. One person writes it one way, the other person writes it another way, and they might be used to one or the other. And then it's basically they can work with it, but then they have to adjust, and they may not like it, or they might find it harder, and it's not efficient in terms of the output, basically. So they're taking more time than they should because now they have to go through the spaghetti you know code, and then they have to figure out so on and so forth. So there's a lot of software. It's not easy as it seems. There's a lot of things and that are involved in it. So you have to take it for what it's worth, and you just need to understand that this is something you want to avoid. Okay, and the cost of maintaining and updating it, if you have a change in address. I mean, my best example that I've had is food trucks. They move around maybe two times a day, and eight times a week. They want to update your their address, right? To get to engage with their customers the most. If they need to have something like FWS, that on their mobile phone, they can go in and just simply type the new address, and their web page is updated. Boom, within less than 30 seconds, their site is updated with a Google map where people can click and still find them, right? With the option to deliver, with the option of payment and everything already in there. So those are just ways in which you can just kind of get ahead with less, and do more, basically, right? So ad hoc processes, avoid them, think it through. And this series of videos is the purpose of this is to for you to avoid the ad hoc process and go take a paved path, right? So benefits of an ad hoc process. Okay, so I don't want to just put just one thing, and I'm giving both perspectives, right? So sometimes quick and dirty is not good enough. It's the best way. The persuasion here is to make the best decisions for yourself. There is no right answer. There is no wrong answer, but there is experience. And then when you take the best of two, you can make the most of it. Okay, so something that is quick and dirty, it's usable for sites that will have a short lifespan, maybe. Yeah, probably. And if you break it down, yeah, because when you make something, you've got one thing in mind, and then later on you might have something else, or your business is evolving. So if you break it down, your site, your ad hoc, quick and dirty one would serve a purpose. It's at least it'll be an online brochure, a business card. But then, as you're going to grow, and your needs to communicate with your audience would evolve. So that's there. Okay, so the benefit is there. You got something as opposed to nothing. All right, and that's always better than having nothing. A very small website, yep. See, I'm not opposed to that. Small websites, as long as they're to the point, they are delivering results, and they're intelligent. They can do more than just a bootstrap website with 20,000 pages with nothing on it. And it's just a waste of your time, and it's waste of your client's time if they have to browse through so many pages to find it. So but it is a very small website. Maybe it does a good job. Site designed for very specific purpose, single survey, single class, a specific product or event, so on and so forth. Yes, yeah. So this is also like at one extreme. So those are two extremes, right? Um, a step forward is always better than no step at all. So if you're going with ad hoc, go with ad hoc, but have the right toolkit, right? Have the right toolkit. That's the most important thing. And I think FWS is a good toolkit for it's kind of in the middle. You can make a long term, short term, both with it, and that's good. So why take time to design and test before you're launching? Okay. Now, yeah, okay. So this might sound very technical. You're like, hey, I belong to this industry, which is not software, right? You're talking about testing. Well, it's functional testing, right? It's not technical testing, and you can just go by what you see is whether or not is what you want, right? If a link's not working, if a subscribe thing is not, button is not sending you the subscriber, for example, if you have an option to automate some part of your sales cycle, right? Onboarding, introduction is already there. Onboarding, um, commitment to buy or a purchase or the payment, so that's the sales cycle, right? And the delivery promise note, et cetera, right? So you can go it as far, you can push it as far as you can to make your customers happy. That would be good for you from a functional standpoint to test it out before you launch it. Make sure you're happy with what you see and you've looked at it from a functional standpoint. So the benefits of that is, it's got lesser problems. It costs less because you've got a lesser amount of iterations when you stop and look at your first iteration output. But it is inevitable. You will always have iterations. It's kind of a growing website is a growing organism. It interacts with the search engines, it interacts with customers, interacts with your thoughts, and it interacts with the feelings of the audience, right? So it always has to be breathing and evolving. It's more effective, it's more understandable, it's easier to navigate, and may end up taking less time and cost, right? So, and to maintain. So this is nothing new. This is no news to you. I think you already know that if something is planned, measured once, it's better than measure once, you know, uh, cut twice, or measure twice and cut once, and you're done. So pre-design work. Okay, let's go through this quickly. How much time do I have? Okay, I don't have much time. I'm going to cut this video short at the end of this slide and then continue on the next thing. So pre-design work. Consider your organization's missions, your business mission. Make sure you're projecting the right information, the imagery, the words that invoke the feelings of trust and reliability in terms of the interaction between you and your potential clients. Define the target audience. Like I've mentioned before, my mentor said, don't be all things to everybody, be some things first to some and do it well. Define the target audience, so your imagery, your every word that is written on it should reflect that. This is, you don't need an engineer to do that. They won't be able to do that. Only you can do that in terms of giving the right content. You need to be able to write the words you feel. You're an artist. As a business owner, you're an artist, and you paint the picture that you feel most comfortable with. Set goals for the website, immediate and long term. If there's conversion involved, you must know that there is, what is the sales cycle? Where are you? How far can you push the customers who visit your website into the sales process? And set them within your goal list, right? That, okay, these many visitors, okay, I need these many sales from my visitors, and I want to get these many dollars, right, or rubles, or whatever you charge, right? So long term goals, okay, you need to have a vision for your site and your online presence. So it's better that you sit down and think and imagine about it first, and before embarking on it and just ignoring it all the way, right? So, all right. So I think that's it. Gathering content, organize and establish hierarchy of content, chunk content into logical information units. Yep, you want to have segments, easy to read, easy to follow through. Website that is, that leads the customer along gently into your guided path of building trust and then converting, taking an action. Okay, that is based on trust from buying from you. So that's there. I mean, there's a lot of other content on the internet about how to do this. I will try to go into deeper into these silos of marketing slash web development, web presence kind of thing, where you would be able to understand more. I mean, I'm an MBA from 20 years ago almost, and I mean, I read a lot of books. I was very good at it, but I've spent all this time doing a lot of stuff. creating integrated marketing communication plans, executing them, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of other information, talking to people who've got 40, 50 years of experience running businesses or business units for large multi-billion dollar corporations, and budgeting out and converting, millions of dollars of cost and revenue, right, across continents. Right. So all that stuff kind of gets condensed. I won't be able to produce everything right on the, in every word I say. So you'll have to just follow through and see where, what all I'm able to share that's pertinent to the topic. But I'll have to cut this one short. Please like and subscribe, and share it with other people that you think is good. The next session or the next video will have the continuation till I finish this content, and then I'll get into more content and maybe go deeper or wider to address what the feedback that I'm getting. So thanks a lot, and see you soon.